Hello, folks. Hello. Major storm coming in soon in this area. Might lose power, but that's fine. I can still write because this computer has a battery. Let's see, this way J Army uniform. He was black under the mask. Kola assumed he was the Black Zetan, not Gunian from Akunian from Akuna, or one of the other parts of the world where black people lived. So I suppose there was no reason why a black from outside Zeta couldn't have gotten involved in this incident. The black man was unharmed besides a nasty bump on his head. I can't believe it. All these interruptions. I'm not even 10 minutes in. Ridiculous. It is ridiculous that I can't get an hour of privacy without anyone bothering me. Nobody had any reason to be up. No one has any reason to be up. Just go to sleep. The storm is not a big to-do. We've had storms before. Anyway, let's see. It's unharmed besides a nasty bump on his head. We better not get any packages today. I don't want any frickin' packages. I don't want to go out there for any reason. Frickin' packages, these UPS people, just say it. Just keep them trucks wherever they're supposed to be when they're not delivering stuff. Same with the mail, same with UPS, same with 1,000 other stuff. Drivers and trucks. See, bump on the head. He was still unconscious and had been that way for the entire trip across the top of the train. The man was somewhere in his 20s or 30s, and his head was mostly shaved, except at the sideburns for some reason. He had youthful, handsome features, and his skin was chocolate colored, not dark, not particularly, nowhere close to being very dark, close to being black, to being literally black. Cole often wondered why his race was called black when there weren't many Akunians who were actually black. Only those people from very specific parts of Akun. The majority were lighter skinned. At least that's what Kola had heard. He wasn't... That should get its own paragraph, I guess. He wasn't... that familiar with Akun or its people. He had spent almost his whole life. He had spent 99.9% of his life on the Jade continent. He just went to a few other places like National Police HQ in Europe, National Association of Police HQ. the HQ, like in Europe. He went to Geneva, where the HQ of the National Association of Police was. And he went to Libertyburg years ago, to the FBI HQ, where the father organization to the NPB. Is NPB the right word? Where he heard the chief of the FBI give a speech translated into Jade by a man sharing this by a Jade. Have to give a speech translated into Jade by some of. Give a speech in Jade, a language he was clearly uncomfortable with. Uncomfortable. I get so annoyed with interruptions, honestly. Let's see. Let's see. Colo was pretty sure he would die on the Jade continent. Hopefully not tonight. Think he's brain dead? Hey, I asked Colo. Probably not. Colo replied. When he meant to say, reply, I don't really say, I don't know. The human brain, one of the great mysteries of the world. Some people took a crack. Some people had, some people got 100-pound, got a 300-pound bell dropped on their heads from second-story windows, and they walked away fine. Other people just tripped, bumped their head on a wall, and they were dead in minutes. People got a 300 bell dropped on their heads from second-story windows, and they walked away fine. It could have been maybe the pilot was brain dead. And rescuing him was just going to put some unendurable burden on his poor family or the state. Uninsurable. No, that's not the right word. Uninsurable. Insufferable. Intolerable. I guess it is tolerable, though, because, I mean, a lot of people take care of people with Alzheimer's in their houses. Let's see. They say this storm is going to affect 11 million people in one way or another. I guess I'll be one of them. I think that number includes all of New York City. There's 8 million people in New York City, I think. And I guess the other 3 million are unlucky people in the path of the storm. Burden on his poor family. He's probably not the guy who raped his sister. Dang it. Colo noted. I I guess some social justice type might think of that like as problematic. Whenever you talk about race and stuff in a story, it's always got to be, you know, you're worried you're going to offend somebody. Like, I mean, they take it the wrong way. Like, he's just calling him, he might be the rapist because he's a Zedin, not because he's black. Like, the myth of, like, black rapists and such going after all the people. That was why they outlawed cocaine, I heard, because they said that it was making black people go crazy and rape everybody, particularly women. Yeah, that was what it was. I think it was the same way with marijuana. It was always feared that minorities were going to use these drugs and go on a rampage or something. And that's how we got the war on drugs, basically. I wonder what temperature it is out there. Let's see. When it comes to bad stuff happening in war, I don't sugarcoat it. You should show, like, all the bad stuff, I think. And you shouldn't be afraid of offending people too much by showing terrible stuff, because people are offended at everything today. And so you're pretty much screwed no matter how you do things in a story, I guess. Let's see. No, those guys were apparently all white Zedins. Tega said. Go ahead. We don't even know if he's Zedin. Emda said, could be a man from any country. Could be Chromish. Yeah. A British person, or a person of any nationality, could be of any race. If you took a person from Japan, a person born Japanese, of the Japanese race, or what's the right word? I'm sorry. I call this thinking about political correctness. It got me worried. I'm going to look like I'm prejudiced or something. Like, let's see, Japanese. I mean, a person born in Japan. If you took them, raised in Britain, British. It's culture versus genetics. Genetically Japanese, culturally British. I think that's the way to look at it. You know, social justice types get offended by a lot more stuff than this. By a lot less topics than that. They get charged up. I wish we were living in a time where people weren't so... don't have, what's the term? Sticks up their butts so much. Or get offended at literally everything. Let's see. Any country. Could be Chromish. I guess we'll know. Know if he wakes up. Take a shrug. A minute later, the guy woke up, and he grumbled in English, but not in an English accent. His voice was definitely... The topic of British accents, you know. For a British accent, I guess that could be any accent, like Irish, Scottish, English. I think usually when people mention British accents, they're referring to English accents. Because usually that's what people associate with the Britain. English. Oh, and Welsh. Can't forget Welsh. So I'm not sure what a Welsh accent sounds like. Sometimes it can be hard, you know, to tell the difference between accents. Here in Buffalo, I don't think we have an accent. We just have a regular American sort of accent. Not like something as fancy as like a Brooklyn accent or something like that. His voice was definitely... His voice was definitely... Zenin. More than that. His accent was definitely Zenin. More than that. Cola couldn't say. He would have probably guessed he was from Buffalo State or somewhere on the Zetin East. Is it West Coast or East Coast? New York is on the East Coast. Yeah. Still get that confused sometimes. The West Coast is West Coast of the United States, that's California. And Alaska and Washington and what's the other state that's there? Washington and I'm not sure. Somewhere on the Zetin East Coast. There might only be 2 states on the west coast of the United States, for all I know. It's a little crazy how big California is. It should really be like 2 or 3 states. With a state that large. Why should there be some states that are like the size of Rhode Island and some states that are like that, where it's like bigger than the whole of Japan, the whole country of Japan, pretty much. I think that's accurate. Japan might be a bit larger than California. I think it has more people in it. Let's see, is that in the East Coast? The black man opened his eyes, and they were a deeper shade of brown than his skin. Almost black. I should note that his bump on his head didn't have any blood. I had a character that had green blood because she had green skin, but I'm not sure if that's accurate now, thinking. If I went by that logic, then black people would have brown blood. And they don't. If you cut yourself and your blood is brown, I think you might have a serious medical problem. Definitely look into it. And tell your doctor your blood is the same color as shit. Yeah, that's a problem. Watched a zombie movie the other day with a rotting zombie, and when they cut him, it looked like shit was coming out of his wound. That was probably the most disgusting thing I've ever seen in my life. Let's see. Deeper shade of brown. Oh, it's black. He looked around at the jade. At the people before him. He became aware of his surroundings in an instant. Particularly that he was before 3 jade. He looked uneasy and put his hands up. Looks like you got me. The black man, Zenin said. Rank corporal. What's that? Cola asked. This might not seem very exciting part, folks, but you know, this is what you do when you write. You gotta have pieces bridging the action scenes and whatnot. And character development. I'm only looking for a way to combine character development with fan service, you know. It's like the holy grail of writing, I think. For sexiness and character growth at the same time. So you get a little extra sexiness, I guess, in a way. Because if you learn to like the characters, then you can identify more with them and so on. You know, it's basic stuff, I guess. What's that? I'm a prisoner of the Jade. Black Zedin clarified. I don't remember how I got in this situation. You're not a captive. Cola reassured. We are civilians. We're here. We risked our friend here risked his life to rescue you. You did? Black Zedin asked Tega. Cola pointed to Tega. So he didn't think. So was he a pilot? No. Called by accident pilot. Tega, so the Zedin knew he wasn't talking about Emma. Well, this training session is almost to a close. Hopefully we had a good conversation about characters and discussion about racism, social justice, censorship, and some other things, I guess. And a nasty storm that's coming here. Let's see. Yes, to you. Yep. Tega replied, even though I'm not fond of Americans. Sentence. I can understand. Black Zedin replied. I didn't introduce himself. Okay, folks, on that note, let's sign off here. See you later. Auf Wiedersehen.